Hello, everybody, and welcome to Applicant.com. My name is Neil Rodriguez. I'm on a guest post from my man Ritu, my digger, okay? And I'm reading through Applicant.com. You find a lot of good resources on finding work if you are a consultant, finding work if you are a regular job hunter that's just looking for a full-time job. A lot of resources. I like to draw some parallels along the two. For you to become a successful consultant, you have to ultimately become a good salesperson. You have to know how to network with people. You have to know to talk to people, and you have to be consistent in dealing with people. Now, I know because most of my online professional experience has to do with consulting. I consulted for a number of years. I've worked with companies. I've demonstrated nice results, acceptable results, and they've kept me on board. They've let me continue working with them. I do permanent employment now. But when you are searching for a permanent position, you also have to be an efficient salesperson. Now, when you find the job, you've only closed one sale. You only have to close one sale, whereas as a consultant, you have to always be selling because you have to always grow your client base. A client could pretty much take your consulting one time, learn what you are doing, learn what you did for that client, and then just, start doing it him or herself. Whereas if you are an employee, they want you to continue to do the work for them because that's the whole point that they put out a job listing for which they opened a recruiting drive for that position. So there's a little more of job security, you may say. You may not say, because if you draw a comparison, you say that as if you have a job, all you are working with is one company, whereas if you are a consultant, you have a number of companies to work with. But the ultimate similarity, the primary similarity that I want you to take away with this is that it's a sales job. Finding a full-time job is a sales game. Finding a temporary consulting gig is a sales game. So what does that mean? You have to be an efficient communicator. You have to be able to memorize your lines. Everything along the lines of which I speak on lachamba.com, which is to memorize professional responses or the best responses to typical interviewing questions. All right, this is memorization. This all has to do with when you are a consultant and you memorize your rebuttals to typical objections, and also questions, all questions that companies will pose to a typical consultant to determine whether or not that consultant is proficient and is able to perform the job that that company requires. All right, same thing when you are seeking a job. The only difference is that the main sale that you have to close is landing the job, and sometimes you're scot-free. I mean, while you are in the position, you also have to convince people. You have to persuade people to do what you tell them to do. If, for instance, if you're doing my type of work, where I consult, where I put together proposals for brands, and I let them know this is what you should do, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Why? Because you will grow your traffic by such and such percent. You'll be able to drive thousands of visitors from such and such site. All right, you have to perform these steps, and I have to persuade them to do that. That's through creating documentation and also anticipating their objections. All right, so I could come back with a rebuttal. I'll be able to tell them why it is that I'm the ideal fit, or my suggestions are ideal for their company or for their brand in order to increase their traffic, or in order to do whatever it is that you do for the company. But ultimately, it's a sales game. So what it comes down to is memorizing your lines, memorizing answers to typical interviewing questions. All right, and also even rebuttals. Once they clearly tell you that you are not the person for the job, you should have rebuttals for that as well. Something to the effect of, well, according to what you say, the ideal candidate should be able to do A, B, and C. So if I were to demonstrate that I could perform A, B, and C, would that influence your line of thinking? You tell them, would that influence your line of thinking? Not change your mind. All right, just have them see it in a different aspect. And if they say yes, then you go into a success story. Try to craft a success story that's most relevant to the ideal qualifications that that person has said you do not have, which is why they are objecting at that point in time. So it's a sales game. Remember, have your lines memorized. If you have any questions, you could hit me on twitter.com/notifyneil, on lachamba.com. I thank you for watching. Until next time, my name is Neil Rodriguez.